Hello. Today I'm going to be briefing you on the alleged corporate crime that has taken place at Leadfoot Logistics, as well as addressing the 5 selection criteria questions. Through discussion of corporate social responsibility and with reference to relevant case law and legislation, this presentation aims to determine whether Leadfoot Logistics has committed a corporate crime and make recommendations based on that determination. Firstly, a bit of background. Corporate crime can be defined as offences committed by corporate officials for their corporation and the offences of the corporation itself. And previously, there has been very little legislation in the criminal code to allow for prosecution of large companies and corporations. This is despite evidence that corporate crime is a significant problem. In a study done by the Australian Institute of Criminology, it was found that over a 6-year period, 27.2% of corporate groups offended at least once. Let us use wage theft at 7-Eleven as an analogy to Leadfoot Logistics. Employees of 7-Eleven have been paid back $173 million in underpaid wages, interest, and superannuation. The Fair Work Ombudsman's inquiry found that several 7-Eleven franchisees had purposely falsified records to disguise wage underpayments. Leadfoot Logistics has similarities to this case in the way that they have admitted to keeping 2 logbooks to allow for unlawful driving hours. By doing this, they were able to avoid paying penalty rates to their employees. Now I will discuss what the relevant law is in this area. In Australia, the Corporations Act is the main legislative requirement that all company directors and officers must comply with. Section 180 to 184 outlines the general director's duties which all directors must follow. Section 182 states that a director, secretary, other officer, or employee of a corporation must not improperly use their position to A. Gain an advantage for themselves or someone else, or B. Cause detriment for the corporation. In regards to the case of Leadfoot Logistics, they have admitted to decreasing overheads through lowering payments to drivers in order to return a better dividend for investors. This would appear to be a direct breach of Section 182 of the Corporations Act. Also, the use of 2 logbooks to complete unlawful driving hours is a breach of Section 181 of the Corporations Act. In May 2018, the Victorian government committed to introducing new laws that would make the act of deliberate wage theft a crime. The Act was introduced into Parliament on the 18th of March 2020 and came into effect on the 1st of July 2021. Section 6 of the Act criminalises dishonestly withholding the whole or a part of employee entitlement owed by the employer or to an employee, or authorising or permitting expressly or impliedly another person to withhold the whole or part of an employee entitlement owed by the employer to an employee. The penalty for breaching this section is 6,000 penalty units and or a level 5 imprisonment, which is 10 years maximum. I'll now move on to my recommendations. The Federal Agency for Investigation of Corporate Transactions should take into consideration these recommendations in the case of Leadfoot Logistics and the corporate crime that has been committed. As previously established, a breach in the Corporations Act that had occurred by Leadfoot Logistics. Under the new provisions, the maximum civil penalty for companies is the greater of 50,000 penalty units, which currently sits at 1.1 million, 3 times the benefit obtained or the detriment avoided, or 10% of annual turnover, capped at 2.5 million penalty units, which is currently 555 million. ASIC can apply for a compensation order that Leadfoot Logistics will be required to follow. Also established is the breach in the new Wage Theft Act, which carries criminal penalties. It is recommended that the employers of Leadfoot Logistics apply to ASIC to receive compensation for the detriment that has been suffered, as well as seeking criminal proceedings for the breach in the Wage Theft Act. In the long term, wage theft is still a current and major issue within Australia, and there are challenges to decreasing the prevalence of it. In the long term, it would be recommended that an education campaign should be held to inform employers of their responsibilities and employees of their rights. It is also important to mention the concept of corporate social responsibility. The concept of corporate social responsibility is that corporations have a degree of responsibility not only for the economic consequences of their activities, but also for the social and environmental implications. Often monetary gain outweighs employee benefit, and many directors and corporations So long term, it is recommended that policy within corporations should involve these concepts of corporate social responsibility to help ensure that there is compliance with this concept. Overall, it can be concluded that a corporate crime has been committed by Leadfoot Logistics, and the potential legal avenues that those impacted can take have been outlined in this report. There are several short and long-term recommendations that have been provided for the Director of FACT to address and review to eventually come to a solution to the rising problem of wage theft. Now we'll move on to answering the selection criteria questions. First, I will start with addressing how I will deliver the value of communication. It is vital to Communication is vital to achieving an outcome that aligns with FACT's mission values. No matter how well you do something, if it's not communicated effectively, its value is diminished significantly. Having studied at Victoria University myself, I have participated in my fair share of group assignments. During my second year, we were tasked with a group assignment worth 40% of our total grade, so it was important that we did well. I was responsible for the third part of the assignment, and we had communicated that when we were going to record this assignment. Unfortunately, when the time came to record, we were informed by another group member that their car had broken down and they were stuck at work. Through this communication, we were able to understand the situation and make alternative plans in which we could all record the assignment. Through this planning, we were able to achieve a high distinction, which is the highest grade we could possibly have achieved. Now I will move on to the value of innovation. Innovation is incredibly important to the longevity of an organization. It brings about needed change in different areas and propels people into the future. I am personally very interested in true crime, and I find the progression of police work very interesting. As a child, I used to pretend to do forensic work and create new ways to catch the perpetrator. Even when I was young, I aimed at creating new and interesting ways of doing things. As a result, I have brought this attribute into my adult life, where I aim to implement this value into the work that I do. As this is one of the main values of FACT, I believe I will be able to uphold and participate in this. In terms of the value of integrity, the recent IBAC investigation into branch stacking in Victoria has shown how a lack of integrity by some members of an organisation can damage the entire organisation's image. Similarly, for an organisation like FACT, the actions of individuals will reflect on the entire organisation. As a result, individual integrity is vital to safeguarding the reputation of FACT and its ability to be recognised as a fair and reputable regulator. From my earliest age, I have had a natural sense of justice, and after having been previously subjected to corporate exploitation during the COVID pandemic, this sense has increased. A company that I had bought tickets from had planned a show which I had paid for, and as it couldn't go ahead due to the COVID pandemic, they refused a refund for any of their ticket holders. I took all avenues possible, but unfortunately, there isn't much available for a company that shut down after things went south. I am passionate about holding companies to account and ensuring that they meet basic standards of integrity in their dealings with the public. For the value of teamwork, prior to applying for this job, while studying, I was a team member and supervisor at Woolworths. It was important that we all worked as a team to provide the best experience for customers. When I stepped into the role as a supervisor, I made sure that the customer experience was at the top of all of our priorities and that all team members were able to get their jobs done with relative enjoyment. In a certain situation, there was a disagreement between two team members on how to clean and organize the registers at the end of the day. I was understanding of the situation, and I proposed a compromise where the two team members could alternate nights of cleaning, and there would be no arguing when the other did it their own way. As a result of this, there was very, very little arguments between the two team members, and this allowed me and everyone else to focus on the customers and their satisfaction, which was overall very beneficial. Based on my understanding about this position and the agency of FACT, I have learned that its main mission is keeping corporations and government agencies accountable. FACT's vision is to improve the lives of Australians by keeping corporations and regulatory agencies accountable and transparent. I believe that this mission and vision are important, as it is vital that regular Australians are able to rely on FACT to protect them against corporate crime. It is important that corporations are transparent with the public and take accountability when an error has occurred. I believe I am most suitable for this role. As mentioned above, I have a strong sense of justice and I intend on protecting people who cannot protect themselves against corporations. I have great communication skills and work well in a team, and I believe I will connect well with the like-minded people at FACT. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope we will speak again soon.